Greetings and salutations. A warm February welcome to another exciting episode of the Zenescope podcast, Everything Zen, where we discuss everything in the Zenescope universe, from Red Agent to Unbound, the Black Knight to Belle the Beast Hunter, and so much more. This is Zenescope. I'm your host, Mark Sells, and we're happy to have you back with us for our February 2021 podcast. We hope all of you are staying safe and healthy as we move through 6 more weeks of winter. But don't worry, we'll do our best to keep you warm and updated on all of the awesome events coming up on the Zenescope calendar, plus all of the new releases, comics, and limited edition collectibles. Chris Samson will be with us in a little bit to dole out some new giveaways this month. We've got a roundtable discussion with some of the creators and writers behind one of your favorite archers, and a special guest star from an immensely popular and bewitching television series on Netflix. In merry England, in the time of old, when good King Henry II ruled the land, there lived within the green glades of Sherwood Forest near Nottingham Town, famous outlaw whose name was Robyn Hood. From the 1883 novel The Merry Adventures of Robyn Hood, of great renown in Nottinghamshire, by American illustrator and writer Howard Pyle. For over 700 years, Robyn Hood, the outlaw from Nottingham who robs from the rich and gives to the poor, has become one of pop culture's most enduring folk heroes, depicted on film from Errol Flynn and Douglas Fairbanks to Sean Connery, Kevin Costner, and Russell Crowe. Tales of Robyn Hood's exploits with his band of merry men and his undying love for Maid Marian began in the 14th and 15th centuries through various retellings in ballads, plays, games, and children's stories. However, historians have long debated the authenticity of the real Robyn Hood through at least 8 different origin stories and lean more toward Robyn Hood being a common alias or term used in the late 13th century to refer to a bandit as opposed to a real-life character. Beginning in 2012, Zenescope took hold of the well-known English legend and published their own version of Robyn Hood, a reimagining of the character with a female protagonist. Born in the realm of mist, Robyn's parents were favored by demons, frequently congregated at the Dark Chapel. Upon her discovery, rather than being killed by association, Shang and the Knights of the Realm rescue her and bring her to Earth, where she bounces from foster home to foster home and begins using her powers to take down the corrupt in society. As you can imagine, there's a lot more to the story in the 9-year history at Zenescope, and in this podcast, we'll dive deeper with co-founder Ralph Tedesco and editors Dave Franchini and Pat Shand, who will talk about the current storyline with Iron Maiden and give us all kinds of background details on Robyn's connection to Mist, her missing eye, and those wicked archery skills. Later, we'll be sitting down with the supremely talented Tati Gabrielle from the Netflix hit series Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, to discuss her early auditions and acting experiences, witchcraft in the final season of Sabrina, and what it was like filming a Hollywood blockbuster with Mark Wahlberg. So stick around as we go into the green glades of Sherwood Forest for another exciting episode of Everything Zen.
Hear ye, hear ye. The new sheriff of Nottingham is here. I, Chris Samson, and by my lawful decree, we are celebrating Robyn Hood, one of our fan favorites and flagship characters here at Zenescope. I am announcing this month's podcast Word of the Month contest for the month of February. Whenever you hear this sound during the podcast, we will reveal a secret word or phrase. Email us at info@zenescope.com with that word or phrase, and we will send you a promo code to use on your next purchase on zenescope.com. As a heads up, there's only one submission allowed per person. We will also be doing a raffle drawing for one lucky winner from all of the podcast Word of the Month submissions. Our grand prize is one of our full-color Bisujo-style statues featuring Robyn Hood herself. We are also giving away 3 second-place prizes from those podcast submissions as well. Second place winners will win a random limited to 350 edition Robyn Hood collectible cover. So listen carefully and email us at info@zenescope.com for your chance to win. Back to you, Mark.
Thanks, Chris. As a reminder, the podcast contest runs throughout all of February, so you can send us an email any day or time up until midnight on Sunday, February 28th. The winners will all be announced on Facebook the first week in March. Now, to get things started for our Robyn Hood focused podcast, I'm pleased to bring in co-founder Ralph Tedesco and editors Dave Franchini and Pat Shand to talk about the creation and evolution of Robyn Hood, from Realm Knights and Age of Darkness to Outlaw, Vigilante, and Justice. And we'll also find out what's in store for Robyn in 2021 as she takes on new threats in the form of Iron Maiden and Voodoo Dawn. So, let's check in with the Roundtable now.
Welcome. We have Dave Franchini, we have Pat Shand, and Ralph Tedesco here. And we're talking Robyn Hood, guys. This is the Robyn Hood month. Robyn Hood theme for the month, I should say. And my first question, because I have the memory of a mosquito. Do mosquitoes have good memories? I don't know. My first question is, do you guys, or Pat, more so to you, do you remember the inception of the character of Robyn Hood and how she was created?
Yeah. It came to me in a few steps how this happened. I remember I got a call from Raven. He was like, and that's Raven Gregory. He said, Pat, you got your first miniseries. It's going to be a reinvention of Robyn Hood. Boom. And that was, I was just eager to do it, man, because I had been doing one-shots here and there for you guys. And I remember, I think it was at a Wizard World Philly that you guys showed me the first art for it. So I first heard the title, then I saw the character design, and then finally Joe sent over this. It was a very structured outline for issue 1 that Ralph, you, Raven, and Joe had done together, I believe.
Right.
And there was a suggestion for issue 2 that had Sela, the main character of Grimm, in it. And the rest was pretty much just open. So I got the outline. I jumped in. I wrote issue 1 pretty much as is. And then as I structured 2 through 5, I remember it was a lot of phone calls with Raven talking about what beats need to happen in what issue, and back and forth with with you and Joe about how tied it needed to be to Grimm Fairy Tales. And the more we got into writing Robyn, the more that you guys advised us to have it be its own thing, you know, and not as a like a spin-off of Grimm Fairy Tales, but in the universe, but more just its own title.
Right.
So yeah, from that point on, I just ran with it and I pitched ideas to you guys, and yeah.
So once we got to the point of gender bending a lot of public domain characters, Robyn Hood was I know Joe had wanted to do it for a while, and then we approached it with the first trilogy sort of being more of the tie into Mist. Mist is a realm, is an alternate dimension that's part of our shared universe, a big part of our shared universe. And Robyn's character, even though she's from regular modern day Earth, New York, in fact, she travels to this alternate dimension and has her own adventure, so to speak. But it's still grounded in some ways in the real world as well. And then we spun, I guess we decided pretty early on, like or maybe not, I don't know how early on, but we decided at some point, let's just have her stick to modern day New York and keep the story grounded there.
Yeah, you actually called me. I sent the outline for volume 3, and it was going to be the finale of the trilogy. And at that point, I didn't know what was next. You know, I thought maybe I would be done. Maybe she would be done. Maybe there'd be one shots. I had no conception that there would be an ongoing series. But you called me up, and you asked me what I thought about the idea of Robyn permanently in New York as the next story. And I said that I loved it. And that actually shaped the ending of Volume 3. I went back and changed a few things to make it more naturally lead into what we were going to do next. And that was make her more of a character, a street level character, you know, and have her kind of like, just
more like fixer for hire. Like, we never really were planning, I don't think, to do like the rob from the rich to give to the poor or anything.
No, we didn't want it to be too on the nose because I remember a lot of the times that people, Dave, I'm sure that you can speak to this too, that when people hear that we're doing Robyn Hood and Belle, people can assume that we're doing adaptations, but we wanted it to be more its own actual thing, where it's, you know, it has a root in the legacy character, but it's not like that isn't just a reinvention of Robyn Hood. It's something new, you know?
Yeah, and it's almost like taking it and twisting it a little bit more on top of that. So, like, not only did you twist the character from the roots from being a male character set in, like, hundreds of years ago, we set her in modern day, but then we also took the rob from the rich, and it was more like, all right, let's take money to get, like, to help the poor. It wasn't, or there's more not help the poor, but help the people in need. So It was kind of the same thing, but it was still another twist on it. It wasn't just openly robbing rich people and giving poor people money. It was helping people who needed help. And
right.
Kind of,
people who needed, it really became like the fixer for hire fixer for people who couldn't afford a fixer, right? Like somebody who, or people who didn't have the reach to get the help they really need.
Yeah, and it became once we got away from the high fantasy aspect, we started to do these stories that were more, we could do a story that's 1 issue long or 2 issues long while also building this main arc. And I just think that was a cool time. You know, we had Robyn in New York, and we were able to tell a bunch of small scale, interesting stories about New York, about people, about that character, while also building this long arc.
So, Pat, you wrote the first 3 graphic novels in the trilogy, which were about 6 issues each, right? And then, so that's then we went on to do the ongoing, which is, how many graphic novels was that? Do you remember? That you wrote? 4 more?
Yeah.
So then, there's a lot of Robyn Hood. So then I think after that was Lou took over for a bit on an arc, Lou Iovino.
Yeah.
And then Dave, if I'm not mistaken, then LaToya came in for a bit. LaToya Morgan, who we just interviewed on the podcast as well today.
Cool.
Who's now the showrunner of Duster, J.J. Abrams' new show on HBO coming out.
That's pretty awesome. Oh, yeah, we're almost at like right now. I think scripted, we're up to 86 issues of Robyn. Like,
wow.
Of her own like stories, not like tied into like Realm Knights or Van Helsing stuff, but like just her own Robyn Hood centric stories. Yeah, because then after that we went with Lou. We did I Love New York, and then after that was LaToya for Robyn of the Hunt, where basically Robyn's in a supermax prison with all the creatures she put away in Robyn Hood I Love New York. And then after that, we did The Curse. That was with Chuck Dixon. And that was basically Marion and Sam accidentally bring over this otherworldly, like almost Cthulhu-type monster from another universe, and they had to fight that. And then after that, we kind of started another like loose trilogy called it's like Robyn Hood Outlaw, Vigilante, and Justice. And that went with Howard Mackey, who wrote Ghost Rider. He started out with Outlaw. Vigilante was written by Ben Mears, and then Justice was wrapped it all up with Chuck Dixon. And that was more just kind of, we kind of wanted to like we went a little crazy with like sending her to Supermax prison, and then also bringing in this Cthulhu type monster. We wanted to bring it back and ground it a little bit more, but also to kind of bring it back to where she's an outlaw, where it's not like she's not just going around like doing her vigilante stuff and waving to the cops and saying hello, like just stop that robber, like moving on, like did your job, like wanted to kind of give it a little more realism to it. And that's where that kind of came from. And then after that trilogy, then we kind of just started launching into our new publishing publishing, where we're doing like more one-shot self-contained stories of Robyn, so you get different angles of her life now.
Right, and those will be longer single issues, like one one-shots where the stories are more self-contained. So you're not buying monthly.
Yeah, they'll be 30 to 32 pages, and then they'll have basically beginning, middle, and end in each issue. But then also too, like you'll get like bits and pieces of stuff that might be building throughout. So like, all right, you might see like at the end of one issue, it teases at a villain coming up, but it's like it gives you like it wraps up that story for you, so it makes it easier for new readers to kind of just jump in. Like, oh, I like this issue, I don't have to read anymore, or you know what, I want to read more. I want to see where she's going now.
Right. It's pretty cool. What you have in store for Robyn. Before we let you go, what's your favorite quality? Your favorite quality of Robyn?
What's
your favorite thing about Robyn?
My favorite thing about Robyn on my end, I like that she looks for the best in the underdog. She when I was writing her, she had this group of characters that were kind of like rejects like her. You had, if you just look at her team, she had a witch that didn't really belong anywhere. She had a crew of outlaws and in some ways criminals. There was even a time when she was wrong, but she saw such wrong in her life that she always wanted to look for the best in people, even when it wasn't there. And while that can be a flaw, that was something that I loved writing about her.
Dave.
My favorite part about her is just that she kind of wears like her thoughts on her sleeve. Like she kind of doesn't hold back. She's a little sarcastic, witty, and just kind of goes into it. And just, I like that in a character where it's like, she knows she's in a dangerous situation, and she's kind of like a smart ass about it, and then just keeps going with it because she just needs to keep going. And like what Pat said too, like just like her empathy towards other people, but it's also her care for her friends and the people she's trying to take care of.
Thank you, Ralph, Pat, and Dave. If you'd like to learn more about Robyn Hood, hop on over to Zenescope.com and scroll down a little on the homepage till you see a special section called Robyn 101. It's loaded with lots of #1 issues and graphic novels for you to get more acquainted with Robyn and her merry adventures. And now we're going to go to Chris's corner for his Robyn Hood recommended read. Now try saying that 5 times fast.
Welcome back to another installment of Chris's Corner. I've emerged from Zenescope's hollowed archives with a powerful and sacred text brimming with magic and power. What is this tome, you ask? Well, it's Robyn Hood, I Love New York. It is a double-sized graphic novel that collects issues 1 through 12 of the series. The original story is by our fearless leader, Joe Bruscia, and it is written by Lou Ivino. Ivino paints for us a soft reboot that establishes Robyn Hood as a hero for hire and a private investigator in the Big Apple after her adventures in Mist in the original trilogy. A giant crime wave is engulfing the city and the people she loves, and Robyn has had enough of it. The story follows her physical and spiritual journey as she fights her hardest to claim the city back from the encroaching darkness, be it Lizard Man, killer clowns, and most of all, a mysterious rival from Robyn's past that's out for revenge. But Robyn doesn't do it alone. A cast of fan-favorite characters like Van Helsing, Hellchild, and Misumi appear to help save the day. The writing is excellent, and it's elevated by the incredible art team of Sergio Arino on pencils and colors by Grotistia. In particular, I cannot give enough praise at how amazingly drawn and composed the monsters are here. It's nightmare fuel in the best way possible. Similar to Grim Fairy Tale's legacy, Robyn Hood I Love New York is a great jumping in point for new readers, and it also became the basis of an awesome short film featuring Lily Simmons, which you can watch on our YouTube channel right now. So hop on over to Zenescope.com to grab your copy today, and this has been another installment of Chris's Corner.
Now, let's take a quick look at some of the exciting events coming up on the Zenescope calendar for February 2021. February is full of love with Valentine's Day collectibles, stickers, and metal cards, now through the 14th. So be on the lookout for the Paul Green metal card, a very unique Mike DeBalfo die-cut Valentine sticker, and the Elias Chadsudis Valentine's Day limited edition collectible that will truly knock your socks off. New release Wednesdays will include an exciting new Grimm Spotlight featuring the Black Knight. She takes on a new enemy in The Lord of the Flies. February also includes the release of Oz, Heart of Magic in graphic novel form, a new Grimm universe featuring Gretel and the Dark Watchers, part 2 of the Courier's Liberty and Death storyline. We'll also be dropping Grimm Fairy Tales issue number 45, and we'll conclude the month with part 2 of Robyn Hood versus the Iron Maiden. Sabine Rich is our February featured artist of the month. We've got 5 brand new Sabine art prints available on Zenescope.com right now, as well as discounts on select prints. She has a new sticker set available individually or part of a sticker set subscription, and some really cool metal cards in the next few days to add to your collection. And lastly, we're hosting our Mardi Gras themed live stream event on Thursday, February 18th from 6 to 9 p.m. and Friday, February 19th from 1 to 5 p.m. Eastern. We'll have the beads, the king cake, the masks, and all the festivities of Mardi Gras brought to you by Jason, Chris, and Ralph, broadcasting across the virtual airwaves via Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch right into your homes. That's Thursday and Friday, February 18th and 19th. There'll be all kinds of new books, trivia, and prizes. Come celebrate February with us in Zenescope Mardi Gras style.
Hey everyone, we interrupt your regularly scheduled audio programming for this important public service announcement. Do you know what I miss most these days? Going to the movies. Sure, we have billions of streaming channels to choose from to watch from the comfort of your own home, but for me, nothing beats watching a film on the big screen. Honestly, I love the ritual of lighting up to buy overpriced drinks and popcorn and snacks. I love being overwhelmed and immersed with the largest screen possible and surround sound. And I love the anticipation of sitting through the credits in hopes of a post-credit scene or just watching it and seeing an actor's name pop up that I didn't know that was in the movie. I'm one of those people that sits through the credits. I love talking about the movie with friends after walking out of the theater or in the car, driving home. Regardless if the movie was really good or really bad or just mediocre, I love talking about movies. That's why I've been so happy to be part of the Zenescope Movie Club live stream events. Once a month, Joe Bruscia, Ralph Tedesco, yours truly, Chris Samson, and our special panel composed of Brian O'Halloran and Marilyn Gigliotti, most well known as Dante and Veronica in Clerks, directed by Kevin Smith, and Crystal Starr. And we all sit down to talk about classic cult films and give our personal ratings on it. In January, we had the honor of having our first ever guest, Kevin Grievous, co-creator, writer, and actor of the beloved gothic action drama Underworld, directed by Len Wiseman. If you didn't know, Kevin plays Raze, one of the most badass werewolves on screen ever. We basically had a 2-hour interview with Kevin. It was awesome. And if you missed that live stream, here's a short clip of the interview.
And one of the things that happened when we were going around pitching is that a lot of people couldn't understand the concept of actually having a race of vampires and a race of werewolves, and that they would fight. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like they're like, well, that's never been done before, so it won't work. And I'm like, and people won't understand it. And I'm like, are you out of your mind?
It's kind of a no-brainer concept. But that wasn't
exactly.
hadn't happened yet. Yeah.
Exactly. And you know how it is in Hollywood. Nobody wants to be first, but everybody wants to be second. You see what I'm saying?
Last but not least, at the end of each live stream, the one and only Sam Kumanaki comes on to reveal the brand new Movie Club collectible cover. She's been really crushing in all these, and we've been doing these special Movie Club books since October. We have covers paying tribute to Creepshow, Escape from New York, Edward Scissorhands, Underworld. They're all so good. So make sure you stop by during the next Movie Club event on Friday, February 26th from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to watch Dreamscape. It's a 1984 cult classic directed by Joseph Rubin, and we'll see you at the movies.
The podcast word of the month is Loxley. Hailing from the Golden Gate City of San Francisco, California, our featured guest is known for her roles as Gaia on the CW science fiction series The 100, the voice of Willow Park on the critically acclaimed series The Owl House, and Prudence Blackwood, a force to be reckoned with, on the Netflix original series Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, one of my favorites right now. We're talking about Tati Gabrielle, and certainly one of the most delightful people we've had a chance to speak to. Ralph and I caught up with the rising star to discuss her early auditions, her terrific sense of fashion, hanging out in Mark Wahlberg's house for a table read, setting the record straight on some of those early modeling gigs. Here's how our conversation went. We are here with Tati Gabrielle, the multi-talented actress here on Everything Zen. Tati, thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be with you guys.
Awesome. In doing interviews for over 20 years now, I've come to realize that no two stories about actors breaking into the business are exactly the same. And I love those stories. And I'd love to hear your story, specifically growing up in San Francisco under the influence and guidance of your mother, because I had read you were modeling at the age of 3 and were on campaigns for Macy's and Nordstrom, things like that. Is that true?
No, that's not true. For some reason, I said in one interview, because I did modeling as a kid, but I modeled for Macy's in the mall. Like I did runway shows in the mall for Macy's and Bloomingdale's. And for some reason that story got taken and spun and spun and spun to I had this whole modeling career as a child, which is not the case at all. So I was raised by both parents, because that's also a misconception that people seem to think that my dad wasn't around, which hurts my dad's feelings. But
it's like, where was I? What are you?
Right. He's like, why does it
I don't get any credit here.
We got to have a conversation with IMDb and Wikipedia, I think.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I don't understand why. Yeah, but no. So it's half true. I grew up in the Bay. I did do modeling in the mall at Macy's and Bloomingdale's. And my dad was actually a really big film buff, and he studied film in late college and wanted to be a director. And just before I was born, he was shooting his first movie, and he was PAing for Wesley Snipes. And when the movie that he was PAing Wesley for ended, Wesley wanted him to take a full-time job, and my mom said no because I was on the way. My mom was like, "No, you're staying to help me with this kid." So my dad, as a running joke, has always told me that I owe him now. So that's kind of where my bug started. And just growing up, I loved theater. I went to performing arts school in Oakland, California, and I went to college not for acting or not for performing. I went to Spelman College in Atlanta. I was there for 2 years and hated it. Not necessarily the school, but just I didn't have a good environment. Didn't I guess settle in well. And so my best friend called me, she was in Chicago at the time going to school, and she's like, "Hey, I'm taking a semester off, going to LA. My aunt's an acting coach. Do you want to come with me?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll do that." And so I flew from Atlanta to back to the Bay. That same night, me and my best friend got in a car and drove down to LA. I met her aunt. She agreed to let me live with her. We go back up to the Bay. I tell my mom. My mom's like, no, that sounds ridiculous. You don't have any other plan. I was like, I have a place to stay, and that's all you need in Los Angeles.
And how old were you then?
I was 19.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 19. And so my mom was like, no, just stay, wait, get yourself together, and then go down to LA, save some money, get a job. I was like, no, that's not going to work for me. I was severely depressed in college. And that's part of the reason why I left as well. I left on medical leave.
Right.
And so I told her, I was like, no, if I stay home, I'm going to become more depressed because I'll feel like I'm going backwards. So I got to go. And she's like, okay, wait until I get back from helping your brother start his school year. And I was like, I can't make that promise. When she got back, I was gone, which then caused her to be upset and not speak to me for the first 2 months I was in LA. I was also not speaking to my dad at the time. So I literally came to LA with $1 and a dream. Like, I had what money I had left from the little job I had in Atlanta. And the woman that let me stay with her, Yonda Davis, my angel, she let me stay rent free and fed me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. In 2 months, I got a manager and an agent. By month 5, I had booked my first job, and I've been working ever since.
By what? You said month 5? You booked your first job? Gotcha.
Yeah. By month 5, I booked my first job, and I've been working ever since.
Was there an influential film, a performance, an event, or an early memory that you look back at and think, this is what I want to do?
Sort of. I did my first play in 3rd grade. It was Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. Yes. Yeah, it was also one of my favorite book series as a kid.
Wow. Awesome.
And I auditioned for my school play. They wanted me to play the lead, which was Violet. And my cocky ass, I'm sorry, can I curse?
You say whatever you want.
Okay. My cocky ass was like, I don't want Violet. I want to be Lemony Snicket, because I really liked to read as a kid, and Lemony Snicket was the narrator.
Right.
And then I found out that Lemony Snicket was going to be played by 4 people. And I was like, okay. But still, nonetheless, like, that experience, and with the way that, like, my teachers and stuff reacted to when I auditioned, they were like, really, I just remember them being very stunned by me. And I was like, okay, well, I guess this means that I should be connected to this somehow. Because when I was a kid, I actually just liked to draw. I wanted to be an animator. I originally didn't want to do performing and things like that. And then when once I saw, like, my dad doing his stuff, and he would show me movies all the time. And then when I got into middle school, I was introduced to Eartha Kitt. And she, in particular, became my role model, my idol. And just with everything, with life, the way that she carried herself, the way that she, like, not only as a performer, but just as a woman. And I was like, yeah, I think I want to do this.
Yeah.
And it became a love of mine.
So what did you, I guess, were you always like a natural? Do you feel like you had that ability? I mean, I guess I asked that question because some people, I mean, when you're as an actor, I feel like you need to have that. You need to feel like, oh yeah, I'm drawn to this. I'm good at this. But like, what do you find the most challenging about acting? And then on the flip side, what do you find the most rewarding about it?
The most challenging part, I think, is just the idea of being able to relinquish the self entirely.
Yeah.
Like full stop.
Like stripping the ego, like throwing away. Like,
and being able to, just not care and just kind of like just go for it.
Right.
Which like, as I'm getting older, of course, it's becoming easier to do.
Yeah.
Just letting go of the nerves. And then the most rewarding part, I think, is learning a new way of thinking, or a new type of person. Because when it comes to my characters, and why I was even interested in acting, I think, to begin with, was I've always had a fascination with people and the way people move, and how no two people are exactly the same. their own ticks and tricks and everything. My mom says that I used to sit in the cart in the grocery store when I was a baby and just blankly stare at people.
Right.
Like,
And just people watch. You're a good people watch.
Yeah. So with that, like, I've always wanted with acting to be able to convey this thing to other people of sort of taking off the veil and being able to see the people that they wouldn't normally see through a more human lens. And so I think that that's the most rewarding part, that not only for me, I get to be introduced to a whole new way of looking at the world, and it strips away any judgment I may have of certain people, or any discomfort or anything that I could have towards certain people that aren't like me or that don't think like me, as well as do that for the world.
Oh, okay.
The
Yeah,
stories that I tell.
it's really interesting. Do you think, like, I always wonder, like, do you think being an actor makes you, do you have to have a different level of empathy, do you think?
I think so. I absolutely think so.
I was
Because you,
wondering.
like, I mean, because if you think about it, like, say, okay, so like for Sabrina, right? Like, I had to play a villain, like, and to start, Prudence was a bitch, like, very, like, and that is so far from my, like, personality, just so far. And so, but I had to be able to look at this character and go, okay, I can't see her as evil because she doesn't see herself as evil.
Right.
So I have to find the human parts of her and understand why she became this way, because I don't believe that anybody's just evil for the sake of being evil. I believe in method to madness. So there's something that happens in people's lives that harden them, or that make them jaded, make them not friendly. So yeah, you do have to have a considerable level of empathy to be able to see past the bull nanny. And,
right. Like the crappy, like to be able to relate to somebody who might be a shitty person,
right.
in a sense.
Right.
Because everybody has almost everybody has some level of good in them.
Right.
Yeah.
And I believe that wholeheartedly. Like every baby, no baby comes out a devil. Like,
right.
All babies come out pure and happy.
Except for Rosemary's Baby.
There you go.
Yeah, that's it. That's the only one that I know. Stupid joke. Okay.
No. Good joke.
Thank you. Yes.
We absolutely have to talk about the chilling adventures of Sabrina. I was curious how you got connected with the show.
So I was working on the 100 at the time, and one of my best friends, one of my castmates of the 100, got an audition for Sabrina, and about 3 months before I did. But that's what first gave me notice. And me and my brother loved Sabrina the Teenage Witch, loved everything witchy. He has every season of Charmed on DVD. We we binge watch Sabrina regularly, Harry Potter. So I was like,
but it's a little different than the Melissa Joan Hart version, right?
Absolutely.
Much darker, twisted.
I never saw the Melissa Joan Hart version.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, classic. Really, you got to watch it for Salem.
Okay.
That's why we watched it.
Okay.
That's right.
But no, yeah, of course, it's super different. But I didn't necessarily, when my friend got the audition first, of course, I didn't get a script or anything, so I didn't realize the level of darkness until 2 months later. I got an audition for Rosalind originally, and did the self-tape, sent it in, didn't hear anything back. And then about 2 weeks later, I'm back in LA, and I get a call to come in for Prudence. And I just read it, and I was like, oh, this is going to be so much fun, because playing a villain is always so much fun. And yeah, went in, did the audition, still didn't realize the magnitude of the scariness, because fun fact, I'm terrified of all things horror. Like, couldn't watch Jurassic Park even until I was 16. Like, it's bad. It's so bad. I'm the person that like runs through the house at night screaming, thinking something's chasing her. Like, really bad.
That's funny.
But I fell in love with the character, and when I came for my callbacks and things, I remember Roberto telling me that I brought this otherworldliness to the character that he hadn't seen from the other girls, that I was able to bring her, because as witches we're all older than we appear. So he was like, you were able to bring the gravitas of her age and maturity while still being sassy and teen-like. So yeah, I don't know if that answered the question. I feel like I went off on a tangent.
I think that totally did. What's your? Well, I have a question. What's your favorite like memory of the show, or what's your favorite even episode?
That's so hard. Like, that's the hardest question I always get asked.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, we had our cast was so close, and we had so much fun like all the time that it's so hard to pick a favorite.
You can't,
memory.
right? It runs together.
Right, like that's like all of it just seems like a beautiful blur. But
is there a moment? Is there like a moment you remember that you just like savor still? You're always like, that was a great moment. I'm just curious, like when you're in this.
I have some moments from like this final season that have stuck in my head pretty tight. The weird episode. Is definitely one of my favorite episodes. It was directed by our production designer, Lisa Soper, who's freaking awesome. Just like this, talk about killer chicks, like she's just badass.
Right.
And so that was like just my favorite immersive experience shooting an episode. And then the returned episode this season, the final scene with me, Abby, and Addie was a really special moment for us because it was like our goodbye in the show as well as our goodbye in real life.
Right.
Because Abby was leaving. Yeah. So there was a lot of real tears, a lot of real emotions in that scene. And then the masquerade episode from part 2.
Yes.
We like those 2 days of shooting that masquerade scene were some of my favorite memories. Being up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, we're all in onesies and just like singing masquerade throughout the entire studio. Like, we did like yoga and stretching together that morning. It was really great. We strove almost to make every moment fun and exciting, and like to contrast the darkness and like the weight of the show. Like when the cameras were off, we were like,
right.
Let's have fun.
That's great.
Yeah, we played music all the time. A lot of laughs.
If you were the writer and the director, how does her arc come to an end?
I don't know. I just wanted Prudence to like find happiness, you know? Like that's what I wanted for her more than anything. Like,
Thank you.
Feel like,
Yes.
yeah, like
Mark,
why did she?
Mark's like,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having, sympathy for the little orphan. Like, yeah, I just feel like she's been through so much, and like to come to the end and to not have a full closure with everything and be able to find some peace was just a little disappointing. I just wanted her to find peace.
Yeah, but that's what makes shows great sometimes, is like you can't always give fans what they want.
I suppose so.
Can't always give the fan service. You got to keep the hook in.
I definitely feel that.
So I have a question. You do a lot of voice work, right? You did. Now let me make sure I have this list here. You were in the Emoji Movie, Tarantula, most recently Owl House.
Mm-hmm.
How I did voiceover recently for a Canadian cartoon. To me, it's the best job ever. Is it not the best job ever? But I mean, granted, I'm sure acting is great, but like, how much do you love voiceover work?
I love it a lot. Like I said, like when I was little, I really wanted to like be an animator and draw cartoons. So I just love cartoons, and then just being able to go to work in your PJs and like be silly is just great.
And get paid to talk, say lines. That's
what I'm saying. Like it is. It's a good gig. Good.
I mean, I guess it's like it's not the same as like acting across from someone, obviously,
right.
But like. I mean,
and that was actually the part that I found most difficult when I first started doing voiceover, because I had, grown up in theater, done the film, and then to get in a voiceover box and like be like, wait, there's nobody for me to bounce off of. Like,
it's like, right.
Yeah.
It's like all imagination at that point.
Right.
Yeah. It's all, you're doing the acting in your head. It's funny. Yeah.
Right. Which then can make me feel crazy a little bit. I'm the person too, like I still have to move when doing voiceover.
Right.
So so you'll see me through the window, like.
Right. It'd be funny if you had a window and people were walking by your house or something, like if you had like seeing you acting out this. That's funny. Sorry.
Exactly.
Sorry
Yeah.
Tangent.
So you've played a lot of different characters. You talked about, some good characters, some bad characters. You had Prudence and Gaia, even Wacky Jackie. What's been your favorite role and why?
I feel like my 100 fans are going to be so mad at me for this. I think that so far, Prudence has been my favorite character, or the most rewarding character. Just because it was that much of a challenge for me. Like Gaia, I found Gaia and I to be very kind of one and the same. Like we shared a lot of common interests, commonalities. Prudence was so outside of myself and such a leap for me, or the biggest leap that I think I've had to take in my film acting career. Just being able to dig and kind of really figure it out was really rewarding.
I'm always curious about when I see actors go from like, I always love like when I'm watching like an old movie and I'm like, oh my God, that's so-and-so. They were just an extra, or they had a small role. And I was always curious what the climb is like in entertainment when as a actor or even like a musician. Was it surreal for you? Has it been surreal for you? Like, at all, like when you kind of got into this and you just went, like you're one of those rare unicorns that like gets work right away and you're just working and booking, and then you have a movie coming out this summer with Mark Wahlberg. And do you ever like stop and think like, oh my God, like what, I can't believe this. Is this surreal? Is this happening? Or is it more like it's just you're used to it's happening, like it doesn't really faze you?
It's a bit of both, I guess. Like, I think that because things have been happening so rapidly and kind of one after another, it's hard to have the time to stop and like let it hit me. So like when I'm going, I'm kind of like I'll go and go and go and go and just not be as like, just not as aware of it. And then just every couple of months, this like thing will kind of just hit me in the face like, whoa, what is my life right now? Like, because I do try to like, I want to always remind myself, I never want this to become normal. Like,
Right.
I don't think that it ever should become normal. Like,
Right.
This is not normal what I do. Like, I live a pretty fucking awesome life. Like, and yeah, I try to have check-ins, but for the most part, it's, I don't know, like me and some of my friends were talking about this the other day, that it's like you have to force yourself to not make it norm, or force yourself to, I don't know, just continually like humble yourself.
Yeah, I guess it's got to be a little bit surreal when you're working with like a megastar, somebody you've seen on screen for years. Like maybe it's a little bit different. I don't know. Like, because when I relate it back to myself, of course, I don't mean to sound like do a humble brag, but when I did an episode of Will and Grace many years ago, and I was on the set, and like acting was always like normal to me. Like when I was doing theater, you never thought about it because I wasn't in the show with any megastars. Like it was just like you're in a play and you're just doing it, and it was what it was. But then, or if I booked something, it was never in a like if I booked a commercial, it wasn't with a A-list actor. But when I did this episode of Will and Grace, suddenly I'm meeting Woody Harrelson and I'm sitting there with Aaron McCormick, and I'm like I didn't. So part of me was like, this is my job, and then part of me was like inside, like jumping around, like what do I do? How do I act? Yeah.
That's so when I have okay, so when I booked Uncharted, I had to go, I was in Vancouver, I had to fly down to LA to do a chemistry with Mark at his house. And getting the phone call for that alone was like whoa, wait a minute, what? Like, I'm meeting Mark Wahlberg for the first time at his house, and I'm doing okay, fine. And I'll never forget the image of, like, when I pulled up to his house and, like, his, like, gates opened, and, like, it was like a movie. Like, it played in my head over and over again. Like, and I was like, this isn't real. There's no way this is real. Like, I am fully dreaming. And walking in the house, standing in front of him, and, like, with his full, like, Boston, like, accent and everything. Like, I was just like, this is life? Like, what? Like, and I remember with the, like, Sony had sent one of their execs to pick me up from the airport and take me to Mark's, and she was new, like, to her position, and so her and I got back in the car afterward, and we're, like, fangirling and, like, freaking out together, like, what is life? So no, it definitely is still very surreal. Like,
it's gotta be weird, yeah. And then you want to tell your friend, you're like, I cannot wait to tell my mom. I can't wait to tell my friends. I met Mark Wahlberg. I was at his house.
Like, it was just like, the wildest thing. Like, oh God. I mean, I get the whole, like, you gotta be professional, you gotta be cool, but I think that, like, it's important for adults to keep excitement. It's important for, like, you to carry that part of you, like, that childish part that does still, like, because, like, 10-year-old me, like, would think this is crazy. Like, would, like, and I, like, that's part of, like, you know, the joy of life, I feel. And when you become complacent and become, like, and everything does become normal, and you stop seeing everything with this marvel or this, like, it takes away how enriching life can be.
What are some of your dream roles and dream collaborators? And would you be interested in directing, producing, and writing?
So yes, definitely interested in directing, producing, and writing. I'm in the process now of producing my first project, so I'm really excited about that. And my dream, thanks, guys. My dream roles.
Catwoman.
So Catwoman was a big one. Brittany Murphy's character in Girl Interrupted.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I forgot about that movie.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah. Good one.
Or like, or same thing like Billy Bibbit in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, right. Of course. That's a good one.
Like, I really do want to play like a schizophrenic or like some like a mental patient.
A mental patient of some, yeah.
Yeah.
That's got to be such a challenge. Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. And that's why I want it. Like,
right.
How do I like completely reframe my way of thinking, like, to something that is unfathomable to me? And then I'd love to do something like Selma, or like or even like, I just watched Sound of Metal.
Oh, I have to see. That's on my queue. I heard that's amazing.
So good. It's really good.
Riz Ahmed, unbelievable actor.
Truly.
You've seen Night Of, right? Have you guys seen Night Of?
I never finished it, and so I'm restarting it now.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know.
So freaking good. Mark, put that on your list if you haven't.
I am adding it to the list.
What's one thing you wish you knew when you began your career as an actor? Like, is there something you're like, oh, I wish I knew this? I mean, this is something I think is good for like maybe like people aspiring to break into the industry, especially.
This is gonna sound really harsh, but I wish I knew that people weren't always gonna be genuine. Like, it's, yeah, like,
oh my God.
Like,
yeah,
like, with my personality, like, I'm a very, very loving person. My mom calls me her bohemian child, very much a hippie, very much, I like to connect with people. I like to, like, and so coming into this business and like wanting to be open with people and wanting to, like,
taking people for their word.
Exactly.
Right.
And realizing that no, people are going to smile in your face and
Yeah.
tell you what you think, what they think you want to hear. And it's just like, man, I wish people could, I don't understand it, because I'm like, honesty is so much easier. Like, just being honest. If you just told me the thing, if it was going to be a no, just tell me no.
Right.
So then we both don't have extra to do, because now you got to like do something to soften your no or switch it around. And then I'm thinking that there's a maybe, like, like, it's just like, why can't people just
be upfront?
Be honest.
Yeah. I don't know. I wish I knew that too. Damn it. So much for us to learn.
Right?
We'll get there.
We covered Sabrina pretty well and talked a little bit about Uncharted. What other projects do you have in the pipeline, or is there anything else that you would like to share?
I am about to start shooting You season 3. I just came on as a series regular.
Oh, that's awesome. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really excited.
My girlfriend
That's
just
a dark
started
show
watching.
too.
She just started watching it. Maybe I'll get into this.
I really like it. Like, I think it's a very clever show.
It's about a stalker, right?
Yeah, but they do it in just such a way that's like, it's just so smart. Like, the narrative that they're telling, like, the overarching narrative that they're telling is contrasting to what you're actually seeing on the screen. Mm-hmm. But then you kind of get it. I don't want to spoil it for you. Just watch it.
Okay, I'll just get into it then. She just started, so maybe I'll just jump in. I have a rapid fire for you, but before that, I have to ask this. I know we're running short on time, but one thing that leaped out at me when I was like, oh, we're getting Tati on, and then I you do a little research and you see all these pictures. Your sense of style is just like so cool. Like, I'm always like, oh, she's like really freaking got some cool style going. Like, what's going on? I guess I'm just like, I tried to be stylish. I tried to be stylish when I was like young, like especially like in high school. I remember like I tried, but like I just looked like an idiot.
Oh no.
Yeah, no, I did. And no, it's true. And is that something that came natural to you? Like, did you always have like a sense of style, or was it something you just like worked at? I mean, it's just interesting. Or was it from your Macy's modeling? Was that what did
the Macy's modeling?
The Macy's modeling.
That's what sold it. No, I mean, I've always been like very eccentric in my style of dress. Like, but it took a second to like refine it to what it is now. So like, in high school, I also looked like an idiot. Like, but I was I'd come to school in like jeans, like a hoodie that I had replaced the strings with a shoelace, and then I'd wear a shoelace in my hair and a huge tutu.
That's great. I did that.
Yeah.
Too.
So jeans, hoodie, and a tutu. I looked ridiculous, but I just liked it, and I just always liked eccentric.
Just what I want to do. No, I think it's cool. Like, it makes you stand out. It gives like there's a character to it. It's interesting because like it just kind of something that stood out about you when I was like researching you. I'm like, oh, she's always got like a different thing happen. Like, I don't even know how I would do that. Like, I've looked the same for 20 years.
It's just the hair. It's just because like I do change my hair like every 6 months.
Okay, that must be
either a new role or just because I want to feel different.
Right.
So, yeah,
that's cool.
The 4th installment of Sabrina ends with a bang. So hop on over to Zenescope's Facebook page and share your thoughts. But make sure you preface it with a spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it. It's a barn burner of a finale, and I would love to hear your thoughts, especially as it relates to Tati's character, Prudence. How would you have ended the show? Right before this podcast recorded, we learned that Uncharted, Tati's action-adventure film with Mark Wahlberg and Antonio Banderas from Sony Pictures, got moved from release this summer to February 11th, 2022. So be sure to add that to your film watching calendar for this time next year. And lastly, if you haven't watched the Netflix thriller You, I highly encourage you to add that to your queue right now. It's a sexy psychological thriller about a serial stalker Think of it as a Gone Girl meets American Psycho. Seasons 1 and 2 are available on Netflix now, and we'll get you all up to speed before Tati joins the cast for Season 3, releasing very soon. That'll wrap things up for this edition of Everything Zen. Thank you to Ralph, Dave, Pat, and Chris for hanging out with us, and of course our featured guest, Tati Gabrielle. I'm your host, Mark Sells. Thank you for listening. And as they say during Mardi Gras, laissez les bon temps rouler, which is Cajun French for let the good times roll. We'll see you all again next month, right here on Everything Zen.